Hey, navigators. My name is Brooke Plack, and I'm your host here today on the Navigating Personal Growth Show. And if you have ever left a conversation and thought, that is not what I meant at all, today's episode is for you, because we are going to dive in on how we can tackle that in 2 short phrases, and it's going to change the way you communicate, because our goal is to remove 90% of the miscommunication that you feel when leaving a conversation knowing the person on the other end did not receive what it was that you intended. And we have all been there, whether it's in a situation with an employee or your spouse or a friend. You said something, it came across the wrong way. Now everyone's upset and pissed and unhappy, and you just unfolded in front of you. I had a meeting with a coworker last year, and I'm her direct supervisor, and what I was trying to get across in the conversation did not come across that way, and it totally derailed our friendship, totally derailed our relationship, and changed things. But it doesn't have to be that way. And it's not just with neurodivergent adults and children, because let's face it, y'all, what is normal? Let's talk about that. What is normal? Okay. I have ADHD and anxiety. Someone else may have autism. Someone else may be focusing on alternative brain developments. But every single one of us deserve to be communicated in a way, or communicated with in a way, that we're heard, that we feel seen, that we feel like that we know that they can hear us, they can see us, they can feel us. And then on the other side, if you're the communicator, you want to be able to communicate in a way that you're getting across with what you actually feel and what you actually intend, and not just and you don't want to have to rehearse everything all the time. And so be sure you listen through the end of the episode, because when you leave with this phrase, it is going to change the way that you communicate forever. So what is neurodiversity, right? Or being neurodiverse? It just means that our brains operate differently. My brain is extremely fast. And so sometimes I say things and it comes out of my mouth and it's not the way I intended. But it doesn't mean that I meant to hurt someone's feelings. It could be that someone else's brain processes things slower. And so that doesn't mean that they're wrong, but they may just need a minute to think. They may be somebody that is like, okay, how about I take a second and we grab some coffee and come back and tackle this? And so being able to respect that. But let me tell you a story about my husband. Okay, when we very first started dating, we made a pact. And the pact was, if one of us says, I need a minute in a fight or a disagreement, we would 100% respect that boundary and give him a minute. But you know what? That mug sometimes gets mad and he didn't do it. He don't do it. And I'm like, hey, we made this rule. You are on board with this rule that we would respect boundaries if we needed a minute, because sometimes, no, it's probably hard to imagine your favorite person in the world, they can get a little too amped up, right? They can get a little too excited, too passionate, too over the top. And when they do, maybe it is that they just need a minute, or maybe they need some clarity on what it is you're saying. And so think of a time when what you were saying didn't come across that way. Okay, hold on to that, because that's that situation we're going to tackle right after we take a break for our favorite segment in the podcast, Trivia in the Trenches. What is the largest whale? The blue whale. If you have ever seen whales, they all seem huge. This was my first year. It was random that I was both on the East Coast and the West Coast and saw East Coast U.S. whales and West Coast U.S. whales. I didn't see any blue whales, but blue whales can get up to over 300,000 pounds. All right. Why do we do Trivia in the Trenches? You know what? It's just a segment where it's fun, because every once in a while you want to be the guy or gal, at coffee or meeting up for drinks on a Friday after work, and you got something fun to say, right? Trivia or dad jokes. I love both of them. Okay. So it's important for us to remember that communication isn't what we say. It's what the other person understands. And so how do we make sure those 2 things align and that we don't have some big giant miscommunication, right? And here it is. We want to clarify and reflect. That's it. And this is how you do it. You say, what I'm hearing is that what you meant? So as the listener, what I'm hearing is you need me to make sure that I'm picking up after myself so I don't leave clutter all over the house. I'm notorious for this. You come in the house, you know where I have been. My stuff is everywhere. It probably drives my husband crazy. He doesn't complain about it a lot. He probably picks up after me when I don't know. But if you get into a disagreement with someone and you're realizing that they're amping up, okay, especially someone with a neurodivergent brain. This can be a child. This can also be an adult. Someone's brain who may process faster, may process slower, or may just need to hear it in a different way. So what I'm hearing is you're frustrated because I didn't get your favorite snacks. Is that what you meant? And it gives that person a minute to slow down and to clarify what it is that they're trying to say. On the flip side, you could use it as the speaker, right? What I'm trying to say is that what you're hearing? And that's it, y'all. That is the simple tool that can change everything. And a little bit of like why it works is because clarity is good for everyone. And it may feel like that it's a little awkward at first, or like, why am I going to keep saying this phraseology? But I'm going to tell you what else is awkward? Fighting about the same thing for 15 years, arguing about the same thing every week when you order groceries. That is what is awkward. That is what's frustrating. And that is what's painful. And so if we can remove those situations from our life, it will truly change everything for us, for all those people in our life that are neurodivergent, as well as general, just good communication skills. So I'll give you one more example of my sweet dear husband, right? He makes for great content. He multitasks while I talk to him, whether it's on his phone or doing something else. And like, it frustrates me. And I'll just sit there and pause. And I'll wait for him to look up from his phone. He's like, I can multitask. I can hear you and type this message. I'm like, no, I want you to focus on me. Like, I want to be your focus right now. So a thing that he could say is, all right, if he listens to this episode, I guess this is my marital advice, is what I'm hearing is when I'm multitasking, it makes you feel like that I'm not focused on you or you're important to me or whatever it is, versus me just escalating and getting upset, right? Which is what some of us do, some of us neurodivergent folks out there, which that's the bucket I'm in as well. Or maybe it's with a coworker and the coworker is upset because that you said you needed this by Friday and they're upset. And so what you could say is, so what I'm hearing is that you feel upset about what I need this by Friday. But what I meant to say was, I want us to discuss it on Friday so then we can have it polished up for the meeting on Tuesday. So their version of what they're hearing may be finished product, totally done. And what you were trying to say is maybe it was just a draft that I was needing to get done, right? And so using those techniques, what I'm hearing is that what you meant? Can change everything. It can diffuse the situation, calm the situations down, and just help us be more well-rounded, inclusive, and attentive communicators. And before we wrap up today's episode, I would be remiss not to ask you to make sure you take a second and subscribe or follow the show. We have new episodes that drop every Thursday. And most importantly, if you know someone that could benefit from this, please share it with them, because that's what we're about here on Navigating Personal Growth Show, is we want to help connect each other and live better lives together. And next week's episode is one you're not going to want to miss. If you're watching it as it's posted live each week, it's about the holidays coming up and avoiding those dreaded family fights with our relatives. But remember, we can't control how other people hear us, but we can control how we show up in those conversations. Until next time. Thanks for listening to the Navigating Personal Growth podcast. I'm Brooke Plack. Join me again next week on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. This podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.